Thank you so much for checking out this video from Job Seeker Pro. My name is Brian Howard, and this is the top 10 problems faced by job seekers and how to beat them. So I learned all this, by the way, from having 3 job searches myself over 40, and I applied my almost 30 years of sales to my job searches. So these are very much sales-based techniques that address the top 10 problems. So first of all, number one problem, everyone on LinkedIn looks qualified. How can I possibly stand out? So that is really a big problem in the job search is blending in. First of all, the basic things like having a fully completed profile, a decent picture, using a nice background image, those have all become fairly common. So make sure you do those basics in terms of appearance and professionalism. So that's a good start. However, people really look at the quality of your post. And so during my job search, during the 2020 pandemic especially, I actually was very intentional about attracting attention with my LinkedIn posts. And actually, I had 2 CEOs approach me with jobs directly from my LinkedIn posting strategy. So you can actually go check out my training at jobseeker.pro/fast. And I actually give you 5 content types that you can post. And actually, I show you that full strategy. But the basics for this video right here are make sure you're posting because the posts actually do attract attention on LinkedIn. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, I'm not using LinkedIn effectively for my job search. So people complain about having a very small LinkedIn network. They don't have very many people that can refer them to jobs and things of this nature. So obviously that's an understandable issue. Okay. You can build your network over time gradually. So I really don't want you to stress out about this too much. However, in the camp of 30 or 40 people that you're connected to, that actually is a problem because when I have someone try to connect to me or someone reach out to me or whatever, and they have 20 or 30 connections, that could look like a bot. So you want to make sure you have a certain threshold. So I would say try to connect to as many people that you know from school, from work, family, whatever, to get yourself to 200, because that's a good threshold to be taken credibly on LinkedIn. And then also you have more people to connect with for job opportunities. So that's one thing. The next thing though is LinkedIn has a very easy recommendation system so that people that you know, people you've worked with, former bosses, friends, whatever, can actually write a recommendation for you to help you stand out. So use that workflow from your LinkedIn profile and ask maybe 12 or 15 people to submit a recommendation for you. Out of that, you'll probably get somewhere between 7 and 8 people that will write a recommendation. And then you really have a more complete profile and people will read those and they'll learn about you and they'll see that you're a good job candidate. Okay. Do seek recommendations from LinkedIn and do build your network. Next, number 3, my resume isn't great. I know I need help, but I can't spend $500 for resume help. I would challenge that. There's a lot of actually great resume coaches that don't necessarily charge $500. I think you can probably get it done for $200, but still, if you would prefer to try it out yourself, there's actually some really good online resume builders that I have been able to find that are under $40. You can search on Google for online resume builder and a bunch of options come up. Now, one thing I'll give you a little bit of a tip on though, is there was one of them that I signed up for to test this information out for you guys, and they tried to lock me in to a commitment. So just be really careful about that. But the online resume builders do seem to do a good job. I did one myself. I was pretty happy with the results. So that is something to consider as well. Number 4, my job competitors all have a compelling resume. What can I do beyond my resume to stand out? And this is one of my secret sauces as well. During my 3 over 40 job searches, I really did focus on this. And so I have a hack for this, okay, to do more than just the resume. So here's the tip. Create a 1-pager sharing 3 problems that you have solved at work, maybe 3 to 5 problems you've solved at work. For each story, include the company where you solved that problem, what was the business problem, what you did, and then specifics about the results as well. And what this becomes a supplemental resource that's a little bit more of a story-based resource. Now, when you tell those stories, use the STAR method. So STAR is an acronym and it stands for situation, task, action, and result. So it's just a nice framework to help you remember the high points for those stories. But I would sometimes put my picture on this work samples document as well. And so that's something that you can use to send after the interview And it's something that you can send along with a resume to tell a few more stories about yourself. So it's just a little bit of a nice resource. I also use some color on that, some color titles and some different things, put my picture on there. And so I have this nice one-page document that tells stories. It's a supplemental resource. And I haven't really seen people do that before. It's something that I use to stand out. Number 5, there are many job sites. It's really overwhelming. I really have found that focus is the key. There's a lot of overlap in the job sites, okay? So the employers will actually post across multiple sites. And then also some of the sites aggregate from other sites. That's actually what Indeed does, which is the largest job site. So here's my tip. My advice is just pick 3 of the major sites and every week spend a few hours applying for every relevant job. One of the little freebie tips that I'm going to give you right now is that a lot of the people that I work with are just not producing enough in terms of application volume. Your expectation should be every 40 applications is going to equal probably 1 interview. I sometimes say 1 to 2 interviews. I had someone that I worked with recently, and they said that since about 6 months ago, they've applied at 70 positions. And I actually told them this. I said, that's more of a weekly goal. That's not enough for 6 months. There's no wonder you've only had 4 or 5 interviews, whatever it was. So volume is part of the game. I focus a lot on quality, but quantity is its own type of quality as well. I think Napoleon said that. A couple of the other sites that I like a lot, LinkedIn Jobs is a really popular one. Indeed is good because it's a job aggregator. And if you don't mind paying for a fee, the Ladders and their Apply For Me service is nice. It uses a combination of people and AI to apply for jobs on websites for you. Number 6, I had a job lined up and it fell through. Now I'm at square one. We've all been there. So the tip for this is really a mindset hack, and that is to continuously build your job application pipeline. So what you're going to do is you're going to have the mindset, even if you feel like you've got it, you've landed the job, I really want you to have a certain amount of healthy skepticism about that. You can be positive, but a little bit of a healthy skepticism will protect you and say, listen, we don't know if that one that looks really good is going to work out. So let's continue to have that discipline every day, or at least every week, of applying to more jobs so that you're continually filling that pipeline. Number 7, they are interviewing many people for this position. It is very competitive. The job search itself is just competitive. I talk a lot about that in my Fast Start training, my free training at jobseeker.pro/fast, and I show different ways to stand out. So that is really one of the key problems. But first, study the company so well that you can talk about it like you work there, like an actual employee. I would spend easily a couple of hours prior to an interview. And second, take the time to produce 2 to 3 creative business or strategy ideas for that company and bring that to the interview and be able to talk about your ideas. And they will appreciate the fact that you've not only learned about the company and can talk about it like an employee that works there, but that you also have some ideas and that you're bringing to the table something different, something that has some value to them. And then the last one for you that will help you stand out too is, and I talk a little bit about this in my training as well, so I don't have very much space here to talk about it, but essentially there's some psychology that talks about morning decisions having more of an advantage for you. So bottom line is just try not to have afternoon interviews whenever you can. Try to force morning interviews. You can learn more about this psychology and a lot of other stuff with my training at jobseeker.pro/fast. Number 8, I will be interviewing with several people and I need to win over each person. That really is the case. So a lot of times, at least for a business, a professional type job, you're going to interview with easily 2, 3, 4, 5 people. I actually went through an interview process where I had 11 interviews that I had to win people over. I think your max that you'll see is usually 4 to 5. But how do you win over each person? Every person is individual and they all have the different things that they bring into the interview as far as their wants and their expectations and their perspectives. So what I want you to do is start off in those interview situations asking, before we get into your questions, would you mind if I just hear your perspective on this role? That'll really help me so that I can answer you more effectively as I understand where you're coming from. Do you mind just sharing first? And then I will be happy to answer your questions. And so you're just being very transparent about that. You're being very open. But here's what's happening. They've been able to speak. And then when you answer their questions, you'll have some context of where they're coming from. You can answer more accurately and more effectively along the lines of what they're looking for. So it's a real interesting secret that I really want you to try. So that's number 8. That's how to win over people in that series of multiple interviews. Number 9, when should I follow up after an interview? I think if there's a Hall of Fame, this is in the Hall of Fame. So first of all, a lot of younger people actually are not sending thank you emails after every interview. So please make sure you do that. That might be an old school thing, but it's such a courtesy. So make sure you do send a thank you email after every interview. But after that, recruiters often will tell you that they're going to get back to you in 3 or 4 days, that type of thing. And the reason why is it's their job to provide a variety of candidates to the hiring manager. And their job is to keep you happy and keep you waiting. And so they're not really lying to you, but they are stringing you along, right? In a friendly way, but they're just making you wait. So what I want you to do is think about special ways of following up with the hiring manager and sometimes some of those additional people that you interviewed with as well. So every 3 or 4 days, I want you to follow up with the hiring manager. But you'll ask another question, which is, how should I follow up? So first of all, you never say, I'm just checking in. That's annoying. It wastes their time. And then also you're expressing need from that, right? So you don't want to operate in your follow-up from a position of need. You want to operate in your follow-up in a position of value. So focus on value in all your interactions during your job search and in your career for that matter, okay? So find a value-adding reason to follow up with that hiring manager and occasionally with some of those other people on the hiring committee. I encourage my students to create a PowerPoint of some of their work samples so that they can present that and share that or use it in follow-ups. Those work samples can be a lot of different things from your work past or that one pager I talked about in this session today, okay? That little one pager of some work stories with a picture and some color. We talked about that. Send maybe a success story from your history. I actually also during my job search would sometimes create a special LinkedIn post related to something that came up in an interview with that hiring manager. And then I would write about my perspective on that and maybe a story or a success about that topic on my LinkedIn. So first of all, I'm hitting my post of the day during my job search, which is great. So then I can attract people to come to me, but also then I can send that link to that hiring manager addressing some additional thoughts and ideas and history about how I have had experience with that topic that was a priority enough for them to bring it up in the interview process. But following up every few days, every 3 to 4 business days with something of value, you'll find that not everybody does that. A lot of people just wait very passively for that recruiter to give them feedback. So you want to do something special and add value. So I really want to recommend that you guys check out my training. People routinely get jobs directly from my training. It's something that is free. It's over at jobseeker.pro/fast. And then you also join my community and I can stay in touch with you. You can reach out to me with questions and I provide various resources to that email list as well. But I really encourage you to check out the training at jobseeker.pro/fast. It's available on demand. And also, of course, I would appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel, that you would like the video, maybe leave a comment. If you have a question, I would love to answer your specific question in the comments. So with that, good luck on your job search. We'll see you next time.